Human reproduction. It's the one biological story that connects every single one of us. It's a process of just incredible complexity and precision, turning microscopic cells into a brand new human being. So how does this absolutely wild journey from a single cell to a complete person actually happen? Well, let's get into it. Every single one of our stories starts right here. The development of a new life, totally sheltered and growing. It is one of the most profound processes in all of nature. To really understand this, we have to go all the way back to the very, very beginning, and that's exactly what we're going to do in this explainer. We're going to break it all down into 5 key stages. First, we'll start with the actual blueprint for life. Then, we'll explore the male and female reproductive systems. After that, we'll see what happens when their paths cross. And finally, we'll trace that incredible journey all the way from a single cell to a human. Okay, first up, the blueprint for life. Before we can really get into the journey, we need to meet the key players that are involved in creating a whole new individual. So everything really begins with 2 essential components. First, you've got the gametes. These are the specialized sex cells, the sperm and the egg, and they each carry half of the genetic information needed for a new person. You can think of them as 2 halves of a blueprint. And second, you have the gonads. These are the organs that actually produce the gametes, the testes in males and the ovaries in females. And just look at how perfectly designed these 2 cells are for their jobs. It's amazing. The sperm cell is streamlined, it's got a powerful tail for movement, its entire mission is to travel. The egg, on the other hand, or the ovum, is way bigger and it's packed with all the nutrients needed to support the earliest stages of development. 2 totally different designs, but they share one common goal. So now that we've met our key players, let's trace the journey of the sperm. We'll start with the male reproductive system. So here are the key anatomical structures. What you're looking at is essentially a super efficient production and delivery network. You've got the places where sperm are made, the tubes they travel through, and the glands that provide all the support. So how do all these parts work together? Well, the testes are like the factories. They produce not only sperm, but also that key male hormone, testosterone. Then you have the vas deferens, which is basically the highway that transports the sperm. And finally, the reproductive glands add essential fluids, creating semen, which both nourishes and protects the sperm on its long journey. This diagram just lays out the complete path beautifully. Sperm get produced in the testes, they move up through the vas deferens, get mixed with fluids from the glands, and are finally expelled through the urethra. It's a clear, direct route designed for one single purpose: delivery. Okay, now for the other half of the story, the female reproductive system. And this system isn't just about production, it's also designed to host fertilization and nurture a developing life for 9 whole months. This diagram gives us a really clear view of the primary structures. We can see the ovaries, that's where the eggs are stored and mature. Then we have the fallopian tubes, which are the pathway to the uterus. And then there's the uterus itself, which is where all the development happens. Each of these structures plays a critical role. The ovaries are the powerhouses. They produce the eggs and the essential hormones that regulate the whole monthly cycle. The fallopian tubes, well, that's where the magic usually happens. This is the exact location where fertilization typically occurs. And the uterus is prepared each and every month to become a safe, nutrient-rich home for a developing embryo. Now, this slide shows the really dynamic process happening inside the ovary every single month. A follicle, which is just a small sac that contains an egg, matures under hormonal control. Then, right around the middle of the cycle, this mature follicle ruptures, releasing the egg. That process is called ovulation. And that released egg is now ready for its journey. So we've got these 2 separate journeys going on, and now we come to the most critical moment of all, when those 2 paths have the potential to intersect. This is the big question, right? Once ovulation happens, the egg starts its journey down the fallopian tube, and from this point on, biology faces a fork in the road. There are 2 totally distinct possibilities here. We've got path A, which is what happens if the egg is not fertilized. And then there's path B, which is what happens if it is. Let's take a look at each one. Okay, so path A. If no sperm fertilizes the egg, it simply disintegrates. This triggers a hormonal shift, causing that nutrient-rich uterine lining to break down. This, of course, is menstruation, and it signals that the whole monthly cycle is restarting. But if fertilization does occur, everything changes. The newly formed embryo travels to the uterus and implants into the uterine wall. Then it starts producing a brand new hormone called HCG.
This is the crucial signal that basically tells the mother's body, hey, I'm here. HCG keeps the uterine lining intact, which prevents menstruation and allows the pregnancy to continue.
And that brings us to our final section, the incredible transformation from just a single fertilized cell into a fully formed human. This is where that blueprint truly comes to life.
Just look at this incredible first week. It all starts with fertilization way up in the fallopian tube. Then that single cell starts dividing, 2 cells, 4 cells, 8 cells, and on, all while it's traveling towards the uterus. By about day 7, it's become this tiny ball of cells called a blastocyst, and it's ready to implant itself in the uterine wall.
Now, something truly amazing happens. This simple cluster of embryonic cells organizes itself into 3 fundamental layers. The ectoderm, that's going to form the skin and the entire nervous system. The mesoderm will become the circulatory, skeletal, and muscular systems. And the endoderm forms the digestive system, lungs, and liver. Think about that. From just these 3 layers, every single part of the body will develop. It's astonishing. After about 9 months, the journey reaches its climax. The process of birth is driven by this powerful hormonal cycle. As the baby pushes on the cervix, it triggers the release of the hormone oxytocin. Oxytocin causes stronger uterine contractions, which pushes the baby further, which in turn causes even more oxytocin to be released. This incredible positive feedback loop just keeps intensifying until birth is complete. So, from the meeting of 2 microscopic cells all the way to the symphony of hormones that orchestrates birth, the story of human reproduction is one of just breathtaking biological engineering. It really makes you wonder, how did such a complex and precise process ever evolve? And what does it all tell us about the very nature of life itself?